Fight in a way that will lead others to join you. Having grown up in the 1940s, a time when women were not encouraged to pursue careers, she grew to the position of Supreme Court Justice. Though she was not first, that honor goes to Sandra Day O'Connor. She was mighty in her pursuit of women's rights while she held the office. Known mostly because she refused to give up her seat on an Alabama bus on December 1, 1955, Rosa Parks is a status symbol for the civil rights movement of the time. Though often depicted as a tired woman accidentally becoming a figurehead, Parks was making a deliberate stand against injustice. Her action and rise to fame led to the black community to boycott the Montgomery buses for over a year. Marie Curie was a trailblazer for women. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. Afterwards, she was the first person to win 2 Nobel Prizes. She is also the only person to win the Nobel Prize in 2 different scientific fields. Interestingly, she also coined the term radioactivity. A key player in the American women's suffrage movement and anti-slavery social reform, Susan B. Anthony, along with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, founded the New York Women's State Temperance Society, the Women's Loyal National League, and the National Women's Suffrage Association. Arrested in 1872 for voting in an election, Susan is a reminder to all women that the power to vote should not be taken lightly. Known only to some as the longest-serving First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt chose to lead her own public life. Frequently appearing in the president's place at speaking events, Eleanor redefined what it meant to be a First Lady. She was an advocate for women's rights, African American rights, and Asian American rights. Even after her husband's death, she continued her public career. Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, but also so much more. She wrote many books about her experience flying and played a key role in starting an organization for female pilots called the 99s. During the 1930s, she made many notable flights and shared her knowledge with students at Purdue University. In 1937, she made her final flight as she attempted to circumnavigate the globe. She was declared dead in 1939. Florence Nightingale, known as the founder of modern nursing, she started as a trainer of nurses during the Crimean War, but her later establishment of a nursing school at St. Thomas Hospital is her real claim to fame. It is her name that lives on in modern nursing. The Nightingale Pledge is taken by all new nurses, and the highest distinction any nurse in the world can achieve is the Florence Nightingale Medal. Every year on her birthday, we celebrate nurses across the globe. Angela Davis was born in the 1940s. She grew up in a world that needed change. An academic in life and activist in heart, she studied in the U.S. and abroad. She wrote many books depicting social injustice in class, gender, and the U.S. prison system. Though controversial in some regards, her work as an activist has been inspirational for generations. Born into slavery in New York State, she was not one to accept things as they were. She escaped from slavery with her daughter, then fought and won against a white man in court for her son. She gave herself the name Sojourner Truth to show commitment to God and His commands. Well known for her speeches, her most popular, Ain't I a Woman, has been repeated and rewritten many times, but many don't know that it was spoken off the cuff. Malala Yousafzai. Her rise to fame started when she was just a teenager. At 17, she won the Nobel Prize for her fight for children's rights. Simply wanting to get an education is against the law for many girls in many countries across the globe. Malala is one of those girls who chose to stand up against this injustice. At just 15, she was shot in response to her activist work, but survived and to this day fights for the rights to educate every child. Harriet Tubman. Born into slavery, her name is often synonymous with the Underground Railroad. Having first escaped on her own, Harriet made over 13 missions back to the South to rescue over 70 people, including many of her family members and friends, earning her the nickname Moses. She also served as a spy for the Union Army and later was an activist in the women's suffrage movement. Pen name of the beloved author Gloria Jean Watkins. Bell Hook's books focus on how race, gender, and capitalism lead to systems of oppression in the United States. Her most notable work, Ain't I a Woman? Black Women and Feminism, borrows from our earlier mentioned Sojourner Truth. and shows how black women in the United States are still facing equality as women, and more specifically as black women. Frida Kahlo. Known to many since elementary school as the Mexican artist who completes beautiful self-portraits, she was also using her art to depict her critique of the American capitalism, which favors the rich and oppresses the poor. Due to her life experiences, Frida is often seen as a role model for artists, people with disabilities, and bisexual women. Another trailblazer on the list, Margaret Thatcher was the first female British Prime Minister, and she is the person who held the role for the longest amount of time. A lawyer, scientist, and political leader, her legacy is one of out with the old and in with the new, where the new represents increased livelihood for over 1 million families across Great Britain. Writer, poet, singer, memoirist, activist, Maya Angelou impacted the lives of many as she wrote about something as simple as her own life, allowing many black women, such as Oprah Winfrey, to feel a connection to themselves through her work. Maya has been regarded as someone whose best quality was how she lived her life. A pioneer for gender equality in life, and specifically in sports, Billie Jean King is a tennis champion who won the Battle of the Sexes tennis match against her male opponent in 1973. She founded the Women's Tennis Association and the Women's Sports Foundation. Many regard her as one of the best female tennis players of all time, and as recently as 2018, she was recognized with the BBC Sports Personality of the Year Lifetime Achievement Award. Known in the Catholic Church as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, Mother Teresa was an Albanian Indian Roman Catholic nun and missionary. In 1950, she founded the Missionaries of Charity, which has almost 5,000 active nuns to this day. Their focus is on running homes for people often cast off by society, including those who are dying from HIV, AIDS, leprosy, and tuberculosis. Though her life is often viewed with controversy due to some of her political beliefs, the good work she has done in the world is undeniable. Nationally recognized as a leader of the American feminist movement in the late 1960s, Gloria Steinman wrote a column for the New York Times Magazine and was the co-founder of Miss Magazine. Notably, she published an article entitled After Black Power, Women's Liberation. As recently as 2005, she co-founded the Women's Media Center in hopes of making women more visible and powerful in media. An American feminist writer and activist, Betty Friedan's book, The Feminine Mystique, is often credited with sparking a second wave of American feminism. She co-founded and was president for the National Organization for Women in hopes of bringing women into equal partnership with men in mainstream American society. Organized by Betty, on August 26, 1970, 20,000 women in the New York City participated in the National Women's Strike for Equality, some 50 years after the Women's Suffrage Amendment to the Constitution. A changemaker in many ways, Benazir Bhutto served as the Prime Minister of Pakistan starting in 1988. This accomplishment made her the first woman to head a democratic government in a Muslim-majority nation. Known as a secular liberal, she was an influential, albeit controversial figure. She was a champion for democracy, and after her assassination in 2007, came to be regarded as an icon for women's rights because of her success in a male-dominated society. Indira Gandhi, the first and only female Prime Minister of India. She held the title for 12 years, second only in length to her father, who was the first Prime Minister of India. Her continued fight for centralized power led to the creation of Bangladesh and led India to become a regional powerhouse. Corazon Aquino, the first female president of the Philippines, getting there by being a prominent figure in the People Power Revolution. She considered herself a plain housewife, but the assassination of her senator husband led to her political interest. Her success led to many encouraging her to seek re-election after her 6-year term, but she declined as an example to citizens and politicians that the presidency was not a lifetime position. A teacher and fourth Prime Minister to Israel, Golda Meir was also the first woman to hold such office. She was coined the Iron Lady, a term that would later be used to also describe Margaret Thatcher. Simone de Beauvoir, a French writer, activist, feminist, and social theorist. She wrote novels, essays, and autobiographies on philosophy, politics, and social issues. Her notable works include She Came to Stay, Existentialist Ethics, and Les Temps Modernes. today I just wanted to come on and say thank you to Cobble Hill. Not that they sponsored this or are part of this in any way. I'm just really glad that they made such an inspirational puzzle that I was able to use to create this video. So thank you so much, Cobble Hill, for creating a puzzle. I love their brand. They actually have my other favorite puzzle, which is this green puzzle, which really got me into Cobble Hill. And when I walked past this particular puzzle, I could not resist buying it, and I had so much fun looking at all the different women and researching so much about them. There were so many women on here who I'd maybe heard their names before, but I didn't know why they were historically significant until I started researching for this puzzle video. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, Cobble Hill, for creating such a wonderful piece of art that also allowed me to learn about some of the important women who came before me. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.